So before we actually get into scrying as a whole, let's talk about a little bit of it in history. We find evidence of scrying coming up as far back as Mesopotamia and Babylonia. And in fact, Nostradamus was a very famous scryer. Scrying was so popular in the 1700s that it actually became a party game. Though scrying can be done through any reflective surface, it was originally started with a bowl and water, later evolving to different things such as mirrors and candles. Original scrying allowed users to look into the future by focusing on a particular object, such as the mirror or the bowl of water. Basic meditation and clearing of the mind will allow you to focus better. Scrying can also be used to remotely view other locations or points in time. It can also be used to view other people, locations, and points in time. The act of scrying itself is extremely easy, and depending on your setup, the probability of the outcome will be highly likely. That's why it was a party game. It was so accurate and also happened so frequently that literally anybody could do it. After the Renaissance era, scrying itself fell dramatically due to the rise in Christian and Catholicism, but I believe that just recently, due to the influx in the third path being taken, that we're seeing a lot more people involving in scrying. And just like with any act of meditation, there are steps that need to be taken to ensure a very good outcome. Positioning and lighting are also very important. However, it is extremely important to be clear of mind and focused. The most accurate way to produce a good quality reading is to allow yourself to practice at night. Lighting a single candle, placing the light source behind yourself with the mirror in front of you. It helps to have a really good place to balance the mirror on so that you may view it at an upward angle while it viewing down at yourself, casting the light from behind you. Instead of focusing on the mirror as a whole, you should focus on one point at a time. Say your eyes, for instance. Focus directly on those, then fill in the rest of the picture, as opposed to trying to focus on the entirety of your image. Focus on one particular part of your image and slowly ask for that image to change. Now bear in mind it's daytime, but your setup should look something like this. Take your candle, light your candle, take your scrying mirror, and I keep mine covered when I'm not using it, this piece of hide. You take out your scrying mirror, and you want to place it somewhere where you are going to be able to see it, it is going to be able to see you, and still catch the light from the candle that we have here burning. So I have a setup here where I can place my mirror, right? I have my candle going behind me, but then I also have the massive light source. So let's see if we can kill it. It's a little bit darker, but not by much. Okay, and now you have your single candle. It could be a little bit closer, to be honest with you. You can use more than one candle, but as long as you're getting that light source, you see it? That light source is what's important. So then you have your mirror set here, and ideally, it would be so dark in here that the light source would be, the candle would be the only light source that we have showing in through, but because you see the mirror, the window behind me, you can see its reflection. But if it were darker, we would be able to see our own reflection. And you see how it's set. You need to more or less focus at the top point of the reflection, because you're going to be looking through your third eye here. So when you view, right, I'm going to put you in the same position as how my mirror is positioned. You're in a very similar position right now to how the mirror is positioned. So you've got the light source, right? You can see it against my face. You're going to be viewing the mirror like that. Like that. You're viewing it like that, through this point in your face. If you look at it straight on, There are probabilities that you can see something focused enough. However, I found this position is I can see my reflection now, right? A little bit. Maybe if it were a little bit closer, I'd be able to make it out better, but I can actually see my reflection now. So I use that, right? And then you focus on the most prevalent part that you can see through that reflection. And so if it's more dark, it's more prevalent, obviously, you can see yourself better. So you focus on one part, like I can see my eyes from this part. So I will focus on that. And then slowly, the rest of the image will change. It changes over time. And it doesn't necessarily reflect an evilness within ourselves. I've found that our reflective selves are a negative version of ourselves. However, they are not seeking harm because at the end of the day, they are us. And so they don't want to hurt us because they are us. And if they hurt us, they will hurt themselves. It's an interesting thing. And I think when people see things, you should never be scared of what you see because it's all information. You know, I would gladly walk into the pits of hell if it meant that I gained a little bit of insight from it. And that is the driving factor of understanding and viewing a lot of this. The more you subject yourself to the fear and overcome it, the more they're going to say, okay, they're ready, give them more. And they can, it can be a little overwhelming sometimes. And yes, you can be fearful. It's completely fine to be fearful. Just overcoming that is the next step of evolution. You know, it takes a lot of courage to go into a situation where you know you're probably going to be scared and still walk through it, you know. So I highly encourage you to do the similar. You can do the candles, use the candles that I provided, or use your own. As far as the candles go, they're love candles. They're made with rose and chamomile. I think the smaller one has less rose, but they're made with the same rose extract that I sent in the vial. So they're basically the same. You use those to attract love from others and yourself. You light them, and when you smell or see the candle, you think of someone you love, or you think of receiving love from other people. And having other random people love you is really not a bad thing. You want everybody to love you. So it's like an overall love candle. Just everybody, you know, if they don't already like you, they're going to like you. Sort of thing. So I hope this kind of explained some stuff to sort of get you in the realm of understanding how to scry. And the longer you do it, of course, the more it's going to make sense. In the end, you're going to be able to do it. And then there's going to be a point of time where you're going to have to cover it. You're going to have to cover it like I do. And it's not to keep anything from escaping. It's more or less a respect. It's out of respect for the tool. I keep my athame sheathed because it's out of respect for the tool. I keep my tarot cards howled in fur because it's respect for the tool. So when you're not using the tool, you put the tool away respectfully. And that's just my practice. You know, you probably don't have to do the same if that's not how you practice. But that's just how I practice. That's why it's covered. Some people will say, cover your mirrors. Do whatever you want. Do whatever you want. And I hope this helps you out a little bit.